Hello. There's something that we immigrants often fail to remember when we move to a new country. And this is something that is really important. And I would highlight because something happened to me about 2 days ago. While I was in the library, two boys, about 14, 15, came in. They were of African descent. And they were talking really loud because of excitement. So the topic was all about okay, the teachers, what they like, what they don't like, and it kind of rolled into this conversation about if they really like being here. And the conversation was very disappointing because you could tell that these boys really didn't feel that they belong to this country, even if they have been born here. And this is not a new topic to discuss in Finland because we find that in the news, many things around immigrants and racism has kind of been on the front burner, and oftentimes the society at large don't really know how to deal with the problems, and you find that those that are affected more are these young ones that kind of don't know anything else, any life elsewhere other than here. But due to the color of their skin, their race, religion, they are discriminated against. And these boys, you could tell, were having this conversation around, the teachers they don't like, that they don't even trust the police. And it made me a bit sad because often we as parents, when we decide to move to a new country, these factors at times are not the primary things we think about. It's usually economic reasons, stabilizing the family, working, going to school. And you see that kids are often neglected. And in school, at times, teachers are not really equipped to deal with problems like this. And this is because, for example, in Finland, it has always been a very homogeneous society where people were mainly white. So it's until recently that we started seeing people from different backgrounds coming here and making a life here. And dealing with this and the issue of racism has become a very important subject and problem to deal with in Finland. So, my thinking about this, I really want to draw attention, especially to parents, when we think about moving to a new country. There are many factors that we really need to think about other than the economic reasons. For example, the family dynamics, raising kids, the weather, racism, problems with identity. Because these problems, they would come. And when we are not prepared for problems like this, we would be caught by surprise. So what I always, encourage people who want to move to study elsewhere, to work, to live, or for whatever reasons that they consider migration, is to be prepared as much as possible for things like this. Be prepared for problems other than the economic ones. Think about how to raise kids. Think about what is going to change the family dynamics. It could be that both parents are working and not able to give as much time as is needed to kids. And in that case, the kids are at the mercy of the teachers and people they meet outside. And this impacts because when we train or seek to live life elsewhere, we usually think about making it better for our children. But we do not want to, at the end of the day, miss out or lose them to the system. And that is what has been happening, especially in Finland, where we've seen a few, school shooting, things that we are not heard before. The incidence of racism is increasing, and this is highlighted, for example, in a recent Ule news report where a school was going on a school trip, but one boy who was, of two nationality, and because he was born elsewhere, was not allowed to be part of that trip, even though he is a citizen of Finland. So you hear factors like this and you think, how would that impact me? How would that impact my So when we think about moving, we want to be prepared enough for the unexpected because things don't always go as planned. We find that at times when we prepare to be surprised, it helps us to deal with the problem better. And how do we prepare to be surprised? One thing I've always said is to get as much information from the important places, from the right sources. For example, visiting official website of the country you are going to visit is one of the first things that you might need to do to get the right information. Contacting people who have lived there for a very long period to get the real facts as respect how life is beyond what we see out there. Because when we are not in a country, we cannot get all the facts. But if we ask a lot of questions, prepare to tap into the information that is available out there, we would be prepared. For example, you would find that over time, even things like the weather becomes a problem, and issues of money and economic becomes a backburner. For example, in Finland, we here we take basically vitamin D all year round because there's no sun, and you find that if you don't do that, you get depressed. And these are things that you need to factor in when traveling. And what I have chosen to do is to share some of these tips that would help people who are migrating or moving to a new country because it's not that we are saying do not move, but before you do that, think about the other factors outside the economic factors. And such factors could be racism, such factors could be issues of identity, issues of religion, issues of background, your upbringing. These things become very strong and very serious issues, especially when we are living in very difficult economic times. So, my advice and recommendation to anyone trying to relocate to a new country is prepare for the unexpected. Prepare to lower your standard. Prepare to deal with issues like racism. Prepare to deal with issues around identity. And even at times, your career might take a dip. So when we think about these things and we plan for these things ahead, we find that when we are being hit by this, the shock would be lessened. And what we would do is we would find a way to thrive in our new homes. So if you want to hear more about, tips around immigration, how you could be helped, I'm going to be sharing some of the links to places where you could get easy information are in Finland, for example, if you're thinking about moving here for school, for work, or for whatever reason you want to move here, so that you can start assessing the right information and preparing well in advance. Until next time, stay strong.